you're going to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Tyler Perry on whether or not he's going to make another Medea movie.
I did the farewell tour, the last tour that I did, just to say thank you to all the fans. It was amazing. It was sold out all over the country. It's been a great run, and if she has something to say, who knows? She'll show up.
This Wheel of Fortune contestant mocks his rotten family.
Blair Davis, talk about your family.
I've been trapped in a loveless marriage for the last 12 years to an old battle axe named Kim. She cursed my life with 3 stepchildren, and I have 1 rotten grandson.
Yay!
Those were the top stories that are buzzing on TuneIn.
Major League Baseball postseason is in full swing, and TuneIn Premium puts you at field level for every.
And it's a home run.
Single.
And gone!
Game.
And that gone, a home run.
With TuneIn Premium, catch every pitch of every inning of every Major League postseason game until the final out of the World Series.
0-2 pitch, little half swing, and it hit.
At home or on the road, Major League Baseball's postseason action is on TuneIn Premium.
And that ball is gone.
Upgrade today.
In the dictionary, a podcast is this: a digital audio file made available on the internet, typically as a series, of which new installments can be received by subscribers automatically. But on TuneIn, a podcast is this.
I'm Rachel Martin with David Green, and this is Up First from NPR News.
And it's defined like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Check it out.
From news, sports, to pop culture, comedy, and beyond, define your own podcast possibilities on TuneIn.
It's Liz Hernandez with your TuneIn Music News Update.
In Touch Weekly magazine says Adele sees a future with her new boyfriend, Skepta. They're both passionate about music and have the same dry sense of humor. They're constantly cracking each other up. Adele is telling friends that she can see a future with him. Meanwhile, Billboard magazine says Taylor Swift attended Madonna's concert in Brooklyn on Saturday. She posted, "Thank you, Madonna, for an outstanding show." For music from Adele and Taylor Swift, search today's hits on TuneIn.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. The Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all lower. We've got 13 minutes to go ahead of the closing bell. Let's find out what's happening, why the move lower. Right over to the First Word breaking news desk for today's afternoon call. Here he is, Bill Maloney.
And good afternoon, Charlie. U.S. stocks choppy today with the Dow currently down 15 points. S&P's dropped 6 and NASDAQ declines by 25. The U.S. 10-year yield at 1.75%. Gold is up 9. Small caps gain 3 points, but only 4 of the main 11 S&P sectors are in the green, led by gains in consumer discretionary, materials, and telecom. Energy led to the downside. Nasdaq biotechs fall 5 points. Transports gain 48. Semis decline 1.4%, and the VIX is higher by 2%. Leaders to the upside in the Dow, J&J, Goldman Sachs, and Cisco, while Exxon, Microsoft, and Chevron led to the downside. After earnings, Bank of America rose 2%. And in other news, United Health is said to lose 2 large retiree health accounts, and the UAW and GM have reached a tentative agreement. Wrapping things up, Netflix and IBM report after the bell. Live from the First Breaking News Desk, I'm Bill Maloney. Charlie?
And you've been listening to Bloomberg Business Week right here on Bloomberg Radio.
I'm driving in my car. I turn on the radio.
How about you let me drive?
Oh, no.
Who's gonna drive you home?
Honey, please, I'll do the driving.
Drive on.
Excuse me, I want to drive.
Just drive, baby.
It's the question that drives us.
This is the Drive to the Close.
That funky music will drive us till the dawn.
On Bloomberg Radio.
All right, let's do the drive to the close. Dave Donabedian here with us, Chief Investment Officer for CIBC Private Wealth Management. They're looking after about $59 billion. He's based down in Baltimore, but here with me in New York City today in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Dave, great to see you.
Good to be here.
All right, we were catching up a little bit before you came on air. A proud alum of the Columbia Business School, talking a little bit about our broadcast from there a few weeks back. So let's talk about the market right now. I want to start with the trade trade war. It feels like it's receded a little bit. It was all we were talking about for a few weeks. But where does it sit now from an investor's perspective?
Well, I would say since Friday, I just call it a temporary respite.
Yeah.
Right. We had an announcement of something that's not on paper. The Chinese side has indicated that maybe before it even gets to paper, there are some more discussions that need to go on. So it's just a temporary respite. And I expect actually that the trade issue is going to be with us right through to the 2020 election. So good to have a little bit of a breather, but I think it will be back.
So then, Dave, fold this over into investment decisions. If this is not a conclusion of the trade war and you expect it to continue with us basically through another year, what does that mean for how you're able to make decisions right now? I
think it depends on whether the trade war escalates or just is more of a back and forth. Those are two different things. Our baseline view is that the economy holds up, slows, but holds up and avoids recession right through 2020. If we get let's say the most extreme outcome on trade, we'd have to rethink that. So our view is it's definitely on the watch list, the worry list, but we do see a strong domestic economy fundamentally. We think earnings growth is going to kind of go from flat to up in 2020, and obviously we're getting monetary accommodation. And again, we're seeing the playbook that's worked for this bull market through the last decade: slow growth, low inflation, low bond yields, easy money, and you really only need modest to moderate earnings growth to propel the bull market.
All right, so Dave, earlier this afternoon, we got a look at the Beige Book, and that gives us a window. It feels like a sort of a level down in terms of what's going on across the U.S. economy. Certainly, based on the experts that we've had on so far, including our Bloomberg economics team, some notes of caution in there, maybe some slowing down, some ammunition maybe for those on the FOMC who want to cut rates. Again, you and your team probably haven't had time to dive too deep into it, but what did you see, at least from the headlines, that sort of supports or gives you pause for a case going forward?
Well, I would agree with the tone of the way you characterize it. They're continuing to look for new ways to describe slowing growth. It was modest growth the last time. Now it's slight to modest. So absolutely, they're setting the table for the notion that the economy is slowing, inflation's not a problem, manufacturing is weak, and rates need to come down. And our expectation is that, if you look at the next 3 FOMC meetings between October and into January, that we'll see a rate cut at 2 out of those 3. I think probably beginning in late October.
Right.
Dave, I'm out here in San Francisco, so let's talk about tech. How are you differentiating right now between hardware and software? Is there a discount being placed to hardware given the trade tensions, and do you prefer software? What do you like in tech?
Our general approach to tech has been to be diversified, but we are more favorable on the software side, partly for the reason you mentioned. But I think the most important advice we would give investors looking at the technology sector is to remember that despite all the attention that the FANG stocks get, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of really high quality technology companies, probably mostly software, but also hardware, across the market cap spectrum. And you don't need to take on that headline risk to own really good, above average growing technology names.
And so what do you worry the most about, especially as we get into earnings season? If you start to see a little bit of commentary here and there, what sort of keywords are you looking for? What sort of tone are you looking for? And I guess from which sectors?
Yeah, I think for third quarter earnings, I would say our bar is pretty low on expectations. Mm-hmm. It's been great to see the financials coming out and generally
very strong.
I expect when we get into some of the more cyclical industrial companies, the news won't be so great. Would expect generally cautious, even downbeat guidance from some of those more cyclical companies. And we think that's setting the base for kind of low expectations going into 2020.
So then why are you underweight some of the defensive sectors? I see in your note that you're underweight staples, utilities, REITs, all companies, sectors, which you think would outperform if the environment did get a little bit shaky here.
Well, because we think largely they've kind of done their thing, right, in a falling rate environment all year. And when we invest in equities, obviously we're looking for, well, let's just say, good growth opportunities at a reasonable price. A lot of the companies in these sectors don't have terribly good organic growth rates, and we think a lot of them are no longer at reasonable prices. So we just don't think it's people are placing low interest rate or even recession bets by owning these companies, and we think it's overdone.
All right, so you look at something like the Democratic debate last night, a lot of healthcare talk. Does all that rhetoric influence at all how you look at healthcare as an investable space one way or the other?
You have to do some scenario building now, right? You can't assume you know what the election outcome is going to be next November, but you have to look at different scenarios. I think the market has been doing that periodically throughout this year. It's why healthcare has underperformed, even though earnings have generally been pretty good. So that's on the radar screen, but right now we're actually, on balance, overweight in healthcare because we like the valuations.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll see what happens next in that space and many more. Great to have you with us. Dave Donabedian is Chief Investment Officer for CIBC Private Wealth Management, based just down the Acela Corridor in Baltimore, here in rainy, dark New York City today. I bet it's sunny and beautiful in San Francisco, Taylor.
It is. It's great here. We're getting that classic, amazing fall, September, October weather in San Francisco. So no rain here, no nor'easters over here.
All right. Well, we're going to get to the close of trading here in New York City in just a few minutes. Taylor Riggs and I will get you down to the close of trading, do some movers and shakers. We'll have Dave Wilson's stock of the day. And later on, we're going to get a look at the retail world with the CEO of Retail Me Not, understanding what consumers are thinking about as we get into that all-important holiday shopping season. So stick around. Jason Kelly, Taylor Riggs. What's your name again? Here on Bloomberg Radio.
To succeed in small business, you need technology that runs efficiently. When you partner with a Dell Small Business Technology Advisor, you get advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored productivity solutions, including computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus industry-leading monitors and accessories. It's how they help your small business make the most of every minute. To speak with an advisor today, call 0800 085 4878. That's 0800 085 4878. And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy Buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A90 5G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy Buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local EE shop or ee.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days. T&C supply.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. NHL action, well, it's continuing here. The Carolina Hurricanes already have shown they can win in plenty of ways during the best start to the season in franchise history. But the high-scoring Los Angeles Kings unexpectedly engaged them in a defensive grind. The Kings show they concede there as well. Patrick Moraz made 31 saves in his 19th career shutout, and the Hurricanes extended their torrid start with a 2-0 victory Tuesday night. Search NHL and favorite your team. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
Hey, NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you have unlimited access to every team and every game in the league. Listen live as it happens or on demand. Anytime, anywhere. All season long. Search NFL today.
Start hearing more of what you want.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations, live commercial-free news, and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game.
Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
College football is live on TuneIn. Listen for free to games from more than 140 schools all season long.
To the 10, all the way to the checkerboard. Somebody stays on his feet and scores.
What's happening in college football this week? This Saturday, undefeated Penn State will have the whiteout in full effect as they host Harbaugh and the Wolverines. Michigan at Penn State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Listen to every call and every game of your school all season long for free on TuneIn. Just search college to listen today.
Financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio.
/IMS.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. A move lower for the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ. That was the closing bell. Folks from Consolidated Tomoka Land ringing that closing bell as we await the latest numbers out of Netflix, IBM, and CSX. Stocks fell, led by technology and energy shares as investors mulled earnings reports, along with the prospects of trade negotiations. Now, as for the economic backdrop, Dave Donabedian is Chief Investment Officer at CIBC Private Wealth Management. He was our guest moments ago right here on Bloomberg Business Week.
So our baseline view is that the economy holds up, slows, but holds up and avoids recession right through 2020. If we get let's say the most extreme outcome on trade, we'd have to rethink that.
And just getting word from Netflix, third quarter revenue meets estimates. We'll have more on Netflix coming up as more details become available. S&P, as we mentioned, lower today, down 5, a drop there of 0.2% after earnings today. We did have Bank of America shares advancing by 1.5%. It posted the biggest jump in investment banking fees on Wall Street, helping profit overcome headwinds from lower interest rates. Also, Abbott Lab shares lower today, lower little changed after the company posted quarterly results that were in line with Wall Street forecasts. General Motors and the United Auto Workers have reached a tentative agreement on a new contract, and the union will decide tomorrow whether to continue a more than month-long strike while the deal is voted on by members. In a surprise move, retail sales down 0.3% in September, first decline in 7 months. Gold up today by 0.6%, $14.90 the ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude up 0.9, $53.31 a barrel. Again, recapping, the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all lower today. S&P fell 5, a drop of 0.2%. The Dow down 0.1%. NASDAQ down 0.3%. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that's a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Your next move will be your last.
Nobody move a muscle.
Damn, Sippy, you got some moves.
And I'm moving from town to town.
Time is money. Let's go. Come on, move it.
Shake it up. Shake it up.
Bloomberg Business Week, Movers and Shakers, with Carol Masser and Jason Kelly on Bloomberg Radio.
All right, it's time for some movers and shakers, winners and losers. Jason Kelly in New York City. Carol Masser is off, but Taylor Riggs ably stepping in on the other coast ahead of her Bloomberg Technology gig coming up at 5 p.m. Wall Street time. But here with me now, let's get a look at the S&P going a level down. You heard Charlie give the top line there, and the losers outpacing the winners. Taylor, 278 names down, 225 up, 2 unchanged. It was a market that moved a bit on, in the positive way, banks, but some skepticism, it feels like, coming through here. What do you see?
Yeah, definitely we're continuing to see kind of half gains, half losses. That's exactly sort of what you were saying. One interesting earnings that just caught my eye, and we heard Charlie mention this a little bit, and I'm surprised that the shares are still higher. They're up about 3 to 4%. It is Netflix, and it's interesting. They're coming out with third quarter revenue, which looks in line, and the bottom line beats. But as we take a look out to next quarter, this is very important, Jason, because this is when all of the competition, Apple TV Plus, this all comes in the fourth quarter, and it looks like it might be starting to impact Netflix. They are seeing next quarter revenue about $5.4 billion. That's below estimates, and they're seeing earnings per share come in at 51 cents for next quarter, well below estimates. So I think as they take a look out to the next quarter, They're seeing the U.S. streaming paid service come in a little bit lower, and international paid service coming in a little bit lower as well. Shares are now up about 1.5% after an original 4% gain. So I think analysts are getting a little bit nervous as you take a look at that increasing competitive environment. Apple TV Plus, you have Disney. I mean, so many streaming wars are really continuing.
And as you say, we'll keep a close eye on that stock. It's moving toward the positive, about 1.3% up in the aftermarket. More to come for sure on that. John Ehrlichman is going to be along a little bit later in the hour to break that down for us. Well, a lot of eyes, and we talked about this earlier in the show, Taylor, we're on Bank of America. I love this headline on the Bloomberg. B of A rallies on beating earnings, quote, like a boss, according to one analyst who covers the stock. And it was fun to talk with Jenny Serene about this earlier because part of this is in the numbers, some surprise on the upside on the investment banking side, flexing their muscle a little bit there, and a much more confident, it seems, Brian Moynihan, sort of finding his place in the pantheon, as it were, of the big money center banks, and leveraging some new branch openings and feeling pretty good. So Bank of America ending up about 1.5% for the day, closing at 30.17. Any other names you want to make sure we hit?
Well, there's a tech angle to Bank of America because, as you know,
no, you found a tech angle somewhere.
Of course
I don't get
did.
it.
Because on our show in just an hour, we are going to be talking about all these big banks and their investment into tech. So, Jason, you know that they're hiring coders.
Yeah.
They're continuing to transform and actually look more like a tech name than they really are sort of a big bank. Bank of America and sort of a big host of these big companies have Zelle. That's a payment to payment. You have JP Morgan making comments, Jamie Dimon, who runs up that shop, talking about how fintech continues to be a big disruptor. So I would imagine that we'll dive into all of how these big banks are trying to transform themselves to be able to capitalize on the big fintech movement. So there is always a tech angle,
all right,
Jason.
We'll tune in to Bloomberg Television at 5 p.m. Wall Street time to catch Taylor Riggs on Bloomberg Technology. They're going to be breaking that down and much more. I am guessing another thing you'll be looking at, because we're awaiting results from them, is IBM. In the meantime, let's look at volatility. The VIX ending up about 1.1% to close at 13.69. This is Bloomberg.
All right, Dave, you're up. Hi, my name is Dave.
Wilson, where are you? Wilson!
Just what do you think you're doing, Dave?
We're going for a price on Wilson.
Open up the door. It's Dave. Who? Dave.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. Dave Wilson back with us in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio with your stock of the day. What you got?
Donnelly Financial Solutions, Jason. It's all about risk and compliance. The company's software allows businesses to produce and file paperwork related to initial public offerings, deals, annual meetings, and other corporate events. The software is also designed for use by mutual funds. Donnelly Financial was spun off from commercial printer R.R. Donnelly 3 years ago. The ticker is DFIN. Now, the shares have fallen as much as 55% since they began trading. That means they've been setting a whole raft of record lows. The latest one was just last week. Now, today was a bit of a different story thanks to B. Riley FBR. The firm began coverage of Donnelly Financial with a buy rating. Analyst Raj Sarma wrote in a report that the stock, quote, trades like a declining business as a result of its association with printing. Now, Sharma estimated that print will drop to 20% of output by 2023 from 50% in 2013. He also raised the possibility that cash flow will double in the next 3 years. Now, in response to that outlook, Donnelly Financial shares rose as much as 10.7%. They couldn't hang on to most of the gain. Nonetheless, they did close higher by 4.1%.
All right, Dave Wilson, a nice one there for your stock of the day. We will catch you tomorrow for a tone of the market, a check on a chart, and a check on a stock. And coming up, we're going to talk about the world of retail. Retail Me Not. Their CEO is going to be along, Marissa Tarleton, back with us. And in the meantime, Taylor Riggs, we're looking at IBM just very quickly. Their third quarter EPS coming in at $1.87. I'm looking for an estimate, not seeing it quite yet. We're going to bring you more on those numbers in just a minute. Let's get to Bob Moon for some world and national headlines. Hey, Bob.
Jason, at the same time, U.S. officials have said the troops President Trump pulled out of Syria will remain stationed in the region. Trump insisted at a news conference today that he's trying to bring American forces home, declaring at one point, let them fight their own wars. This as the U.S. sends more troops to Saudi Arabia, but Trump said that's a different situation because they're paying for that protection.
I appreciate the fact that I negotiated for a short period of time, a matter of minutes, with Saudi Arabia, and they've agreed to pay for the full cost of all of that deployment and more, much more. A very rich country, they should be paying, and so should many other countries be paying.
President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops from northeastern Syria, essentially abandoning the Syria Kurd fighters who fought alongside American soldiers against the Islamic State group, is drawing bipartisan criticism on Capitol Hill. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Trump is threatening U.S. national security.
It is clear the president's actions are putting the security of our homeland at risk and doing damage to our country in more ways than one.
In a rare show of bipartisan accord, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell agrees.
You know, as messy as Syria was, this was working pretty well. Pretty well. A mere 1,000 troops is keeping the Russians out, the Iranians out, ISIS bad guys in jail.
McConnell says he has told the president he's making a mistake. Bargainers for General Motors and the United Auto Workers reached a tentative contract deal today that could end a month-long strike that brought the company's U.S. factories to a standstill. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. I'm Bob Moon.
In the real world, there are no rabbits in hats, crystal balls, or cards that turn into money. Instead, you get business information from top-tier analysts and experts.
What should expectations be for this latest round of negotiations?
That's actually better, isn't it?
They're both trying to say they have the upper hand.
Bloomberg Markets with Paul Sweeney and Lisa Abramowitz. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
History.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy Buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A90 5G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy Buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local EE shop or ee.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days. T&Cs apply.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. NHL action, it's continuing here. The Carolina Hurricanes already have shown they can win in plenty of ways during the best start to the season in franchise history. But the high-scoring Los Angeles Kings unexpectedly engaged them in a defensive grind. The Kings show they concede there as well. Patrick Moraz made 31 saves in his 19th career shutout, and the Hurricanes extended their torrid start with a 2-0 victory Tuesday night. Search NHL and favorite your team. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
Ah, finally another commercial, said no one ever. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade now and get over 45 commercial-free music stations.
College football is live on TuneIn. Listen for free to games from more than 140 schools all season long.
To the 10, all the way to the checkerboards, but he stays on his feet and scores.
What's happening in college football this week? This Saturday, undefeated Penn State will have the whiteout in full effect as they host Harbaugh and the Wolverines. Michigan at Penn State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Listen to every call and every game of your school all season long for free on TuneIn. Just search college to listen today.
It's Liz Hernandez with your TuneIn Music News Update. The New York Post says Justin Bieber is offering his Beverly Hills home for $8.5 million. It contains a wine cellar, hardwood floors, and a game room for anyone interested. Meanwhile, Ed Sheeran tells ABC that songwriting has stopped him from going bananas. He says, "I think it works as some sort of therapy for me anyway. I think I've stopped myself going mad by songwriting." For more music from Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran, search today's hits on TuneIn.
Major League Baseball postseason is in full swing, and TuneIn Premium puts you at field level for every.
And it's a home run.
Single.
And gone.
Game.
And that gone, a home run.
With TuneIn Premium, catch every pitch of every inning of every Major League postseason game until the final out of the World Series.
0-2 pitch, little half swing, and it hit.
At home or on the road, Major League Baseball's postseason action is on TuneIn Premium.
And that ball is gone.
Upgrade today. Hey NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you have unlimited access to every team and every game in the league. Listen live as it happens or on demand. Anytime, anywhere. All season long. Search NFL today.
Did you know your favorite radio stations are in your pocket? Yes, the TuneIn app lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio anywhere you want. To see all the stations broadcasting in your area, find the local radio section on the home screen. Keep it local with TuneIn.
In the dictionary, a podcast is this: a digital audio file made available on the internet, typically as a series, of which new installments can be received by subscribers automatically. But on TuneIn, a podcast is this.
I'm Adam Grant, and this is Work Life, my podcast with Ted. I study how to make work not suck.
And it's defined like this.
Blackout is a suspense-filled thriller from Endeavor Audio and Q-Code.
From news, sports, to pop culture, comedy, and beyond. Define your own podcast possibilities on TuneIn.
It's headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Lots of earnings news after the bell. Alcoa cutting its full-year global aluminum demand view, also announcing a portfolio review to cut costs. IBM's third-quarter revenue coming in at $18.03 billion. Estimates $18.22 billion. It is reaffirming its full-year outlook, but IBM shares, they are trading lower now, down by just about 2.9%. After earnings, Netflix shares, they are surging by 7%. CSX's third quarter earnings per share beat the highest estimate. Shares of CSX, the railroad, up now by 2.2%. A down day for the Dow, the S&P and NASDAQ. S&P down 6, a drop of 0.2%. The Dow down 22, down 0.1%. NASDAQ down 24, a drop of 0.3%. 10-year up 7.30 seconds. Yield 1.74%. Gold up 0.6%. $14.90 the ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude up 0.9%. $53.30 a barrel. Recapping, U.S. stocks lower today. S&P down 6, down 0.2%. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly, New York, right here on Bloomberg Radio.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
sad but true. All the Halloween stuff is out. Everybody's got their Thanksgiving plans, and a lot of the plans are going to revolve around shopping because it's America. And Marissa Charlton is here. She's the CEO of Retail Me Not. This is peak season for her. She's based out in Austin, Texas, here with us in New York City today. Great to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's go time.
It's go time already.
It's go time in part because I didn't even realize this until I was sort of reading in on this interview. We got a shorter shopping season between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's just one of those years.
Yeah, so it's crazy. That's one of the reasons. So we lose a whole week this year between Thanksgiving and the holidays. So 6 days. So that panics retailers to some extent and encourages them to start even earlier, but also think about what it does to consumers for losing a week of shopping time. So between that dynamic, you'll see that pre-Black Friday, much more shopping start to happen. And in fact, even the nature of Prime Day in July has totally changed the shape of the holidays. So what we saw in the Retail Me Not survey this year was that 30% of consumers actually bought holiday gifts for themselves and others on Prime Day in July. So July is really the official kickoff of the holidays. It's not even October, it's July.
Okay, first of all, that's insane. If my teenage sons were here, they would say those people are tryhards because they're getting way ahead of everybody else. But that's a substantial number.
It's where the deals are, though, if you think about it, right? So price is the number one factor when you're buying for the holidays. 70% of consumers say that price is their number one. And if you think about Prime Day now, it's not just an Amazon day, right?
Yeah.
Most major retailers are participating. So it is the official kickoff of the holidays, and it's really elongated and made it hard for retailers to manage that whole 4 or 5 month period of time.
And so as you look against the sort of economic backdrop, and you have both the data at your disposal, but also sort of the anecdotal evidence, you talk to a lot of people, you talk to a lot of retailers, what are they seeing in terms of sort of consumer sentiment, as it were?
Yeah, well, so starting with just NRF data, there's a prediction that this year we'll see about 4% increase in sales over the holidays. So that's more optimism from NRF than we've seen in the last 5 years on average. So that's outstanding. There's also more and more of an increase on the mobile side, which shouldn't surprise everybody. We're expecting mobile sales to grow by about 14%. So there's optimism around NRF. And so what we're seeing from the retail side is they're spending more in anticipation of that. The interesting thing, though, is when you look at the big days, like the Black Friday day in particular, consumers are anticipated to spend less on those big days.
Interesting.
So it used to be that everybody threw everything but the kitchen sink into Black Friday and Cyber Monday with regards to promotions. And now what retailers are doing is saying, okay, this is a long game.
Right.
I got to be in it from July all the way through the very end of the season. I've got to recognize that I have one less week in the month of November and December because of this shortened season. And I have to figure out how to be very, very smart in how I plan my pricing.
Well, and not only planning their pricing, but sort of figuring out the best way to get to those consumers, right? Through the various channels, marketing, advertising. I know that's part of sort of the empire that you're running there. What's, if you can generalize, the most effective way or some of the new ways that you're seeing people sort of get to that ultimate customer and get to them in a way that they end up buying?
That's right. So the spend in mobile is where basically most retailers are shifting. So mobile advertising, mobile content, influencers, affiliate marketing, mobile investment is where it is because consumers are, whether or not they're buying online or in a store, they're using their mobile phone to make the selection. So we're seeing the lion's share of the investment going into mobile marketing. The other thing that I think is really interesting is retailers are investing more in their stores because we are seeing an increase and growing shift of younger generations going into a store.
Right.
So we're seeing a 50% increase in the Retail Me Not data of consumers saying they plan to go into a big box store versus last year. So retailers are saying, I've got to capitalize on the store experiences, not only my salespeople, but the things you can do in the store. So it's not even traditional mobile marketing anymore. It's store experiences and customer service where we see retailers starting to invest.
And are they leveraging mobile technology in doing that?
Absolutely. I mean, the investment in location technology is a significant one, and that's one of the things Retail Me Not does. So we have geofenced basically every major shopping center, and over 60% of consumers using our app have location services turned on. So I can actually communicate to you when you're near a store you like and tell you about things you might find of interest on sale, which is super cool. Not all retailers have that kind of ability to keep up.
Right.
So partners like us help them, but the investment in apps and MWeb experiences that are very easy, convenient, and location aware are critical. So it's price, convenience, and location. Those three things will absolutely win the game for retailers in Q4.
And so when you think about mobile, how much of it, even generally speaking, is app versus just web?
It's a good question. So web is where more of the commerce happens, but app is where a lot of the consumption and browsing and consideration of offers happens.
Right.
So the thing about apps, and I always say this, I discourage people from just building an app just because just because you have an app doesn't mean anyone will use it. You have to acquire users into an app experience versus mobile web, which just organically happens in the nature of search. So it's a much easier entry point for a retailer in mobile web than an app. If you're a huge brand like a Target and you can build loyalty and services around your product, apps make a ton of sense.
Right, because that's a really interesting point, because the loyalty piece does feel increasingly important to people, that they essentially want credit for what they're doing in those little deals. I think about like The Real, and other places.
They want to keep the customer. One other thing that I think is really interesting, if you're curious about this particular holiday season, is returns and how retailers are partnering with UPS and FedEx around returns. So the way I think shipping will kind of capitalize or make or break a retailer is one of the fascinating things.
All right. Great to catch up with you. Always a treat. Marissa Charlton, CEO of Retail Me Not, based in Austin, here in New York City with me today. You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks ticked lower in midweek trading, with the key indexes posting losses ranging from 0.1% to 0.3%. The Dow Jones Industrials closed 23 points lower. The Nasdaq fell 25. The S&P 500 lost 6. Shares of Bank of America rose 1.5%. B of A's quarterly profit declined but topped forecasts. Netflix reported after the bell. Per-share earnings topped estimates and revenue was in line with forecasts. Subscriber growth fell just short. The economic data sent contradicting signals. The government reported retail sales declined for the first time in 7 months, but the National Association of Home Builders said confidence about the housing market is the highest it has been since February of last year. The Federal Communications Commission has approved the proposed T-Mobile Sprint merger. The deal still faces court challenges in some states. Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Radio.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy Buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A90 5G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy Buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local EE shop or ee.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days. T&C supply.
Carl's All Change Casserole.
So, Chloe walks in from school, tears all over her face.
Daddy,
she says,
I don't want to eat animals anymore.
I blooming love my meat, but not as much as I love my little girl. That's why we've made some changes to our old favourite, sausage casserole. Now with meat-free Cumberlands, but still with my magic touch, a dollop of mango chutney. Just as tasty as it used to be.
Better, actually.
Make your own with the new Tesco Plant Chef range, Food Love Stories, brought to you by Tesco.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. NHL action, and it's continuing here. The Carolina Hurricanes already have shown they can win in plenty of ways during the best start to the season in franchise history. But the high-scoring Los Angeles Kings unexpectedly engaged them in a defensive grind. The Kings show they concede there as well. Patrick Moraz made 31 saves in his 19th career shutout, and the Hurricanes extended their torrid start with a 2-0 victory Tuesday night. Search NHL and favorite your team. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
This is not a commercial. This is a reminder. With TuneIn Premium, you could be listening to more music commercial-free. Get over 45 commercial-free music stations. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Deep left center field. A grand slam!
October baseball is here, and TuneIn Premium is your ticket to the 2019 MLB postseason. Featuring the home and away feeds for every game, TuneIn Premium delivers every call of the ALCS, NLCS, and the 2019 World Series through the voices of the local radio broadcast teams.
Air, left field and deep. He's at the wall.
Now until a new champion is crowned, hear every play of the 2019 MLB postseason live on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
Stuck in traffic during the big game? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to your favorite NFL team on the go. No TV required. Even during rush hour, you won't miss a single touchdown. Listen to the NFL on TuneIn Premium today.
Get social with TuneIn. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest and greatest audio on the app. Explore exclusive content. Learn about hot new podcasts and get alerted when the big game, well, it's about to begin. Add TuneIn to your feed and be in the know when it matters most.
College football is live on TuneIn. Listen for free to games from more than 140 schools all season long.
To the 10, all the way to the checkerboard. Somebody stays on his feet and scores.
What's happening in college football this week? This Saturday, undefeated Penn State will have the whiteout in full effect as they host Harbaugh and the Wolverines. Michigan at Penn State at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Listen to every call and every game of your school all season long for free on TuneIn. Just search college to listen today.
Live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
And you're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly here in New York. Coming up, we're going to dig into Netflix earnings with our own John Ehrlichman, just taking a look at what those shares are doing after they reported results. They're holding their gains. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. But first, let's get to Charlie Pellet for an update on what's been going on after the close. Hey, Charlie.
Well, hello there. Lots going on. Jason Kelly, we've got you covered. IBM reported third quarter revenue that missed Wall Street estimates with the long-awaited revenue infusion from Red Hat failing to deliver overall growth. We've got Red Hat shares, or IBM shares, trading lower now by just about 2.9%. You mentioned Netflix. Big news there. Shares surging after hours, up right now by just about 8%. Did see an 11% jump there, getting back above $300. This after overseas growth helps soothe investor concerns about a slowdown at home. As Jason mentioned, we will have more on Netflix coming up for you in just a moment. Bank of America shares advanced today by 1.5% after a third quarter profit beat. Gerard Cassidy follows banking stocks for RBC Capital Markets.
What you're seeing is that their net interest margin pressure, it's there. We all knew that. But the banks are being able to offset this with better loan growth and also better controls of operating expenses.
And Ken Fisher is taking a financial hit for his vulgar remarks. The city of Boston joining two other pension funds in yanking money from Fisher Investments, bringing the total now to more than $900 million. The Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all lower today. S&P 500 index down 6, down 0.2%. The Dow down 22 points, down 0.1%. NASDAQ down 24, a drop of 0.3%. 10-year up 8/30 seconds with a yield of 1.74%. Gold up 0.6%, 14.89 the ounce. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly here on Bloomberg Radio.
You can stay all night and play with my TV.
TV is the thing this year.
Well, TV is the thing this year. This year arguably gets even more interesting with all of these streaming options coming through. Everybody's got their eye on Netflix, and Netflix, at least in the eyes of investors today, holding their ground and maybe a little bit more. Let's get into it. John Ehrlichman, the anchor of BNN Bloomberg's The Open. He's also a correspondent for CTV National News. He joins us on the phone from the lovely city of Toronto. And John, I have to say, when I saw the headlines start to cross, I thought, okay, maybe a little mixed. Market's not seeing this as mixed at all. The share has been up as much as 11%, now up about 8.5% in the aftermarket. Why are people so excited?
Well, you said it, Jason, holding its ground. I think that the last few months gives us some context on what's happening with the stock after hours. So you and I were talking after the last quarterly results, the second quarter. That was in July. And stock got crushed because there were some disappointing numbers on how many new subscribers they had. Netflix, love it or hate it, it's a growth story. And generally you look at that measurement of growth, how many new subscribers they had, and they had a big miss. And that started a downward spiral for the stock. From late July or early to July to where we were heading into these numbers, the stock had lost about a quarter of its value, wiped away about $40 billion in market valuation. So that was the context setting up for today. Now, if you want to be a critic, you say, well, they added almost 7 million paid subscribers. It's a big number. It was a little short of what they said they would make. And in the United States, specifically, they signed up fewer people than they thought they would. So you can knock them for that, or you can say, well, now these guys have 158 million plus paying subscribers around the world. If you want to throw in the paid, the free trials, now you're getting close to 164 million Netflix users globally. They hit $5 billion in revenue in a quarter for the first time in company history, and they're painting a picture of navigating these streaming wars with the launch of Disney and Apple. Right. I think investors looked at that and they said, okay, all right, well, we'll stick with you until we hear something that is a fresh concern.
Right. So as you look across the landscape, and I think I've asked this question before, but I feel like it is a little bit of a moving target, who should they be the most worried about? Disney feels like the Goliath out there, the sort of like looming Goliath with the nimbleness of maybe David, or certainly a pocketbook to sort of give them a lot of arrows in their quiver. I'm mixing my biblical metaphors horribly here, John. But who do you like here against Netflix?
I think all of us commonly point to Disney, and with good reason. I mean, they've got the library. If you ask yourself, whose content are you going to pay for? Whether it's you with the superhero stuff, or whether it's the kids, there's a compelling case for Disney with the content, and they have a very strong tech platform. Remember, they bought Major League Baseball streaming platform. So they've got a 1-2 punch. They've been very transparent to investors about how many subscribers they expect to generate. They've got the game face on. I'll say this, Jason, though. They mention competition in their note to investors today. They say, we don't like the term streaming wars. Okay, we've been competing with Amazon and YouTube and Hulu for a long time now. They reference Disney. They reference Apple's new service. They reference the new HBO service. They reference the new NBC service, Peacock. And they say, look, there's lots of good stuff here, but it's all still small compared to traditional TV. So there's a big pie for everyone. And we feel like we've got some good programming that we've been investing in. I mean, look at what our Stranger Things audience during the last few months. So they're going to continue to beat that drum of it's a big pie for everyone. But I think that Disney, to answer your question, is the one everyone will watch the most. Actually, Bloomberg Intelligence has already predicted that 60% of the U.S. streaming market share by 2024 will be split between Netflix and Disney.
Right. And so what's the biggest, just 30 seconds left, what's the biggest stumbling block potentially for Netflix? What could spook investors if they heard it on the call?
Well, listen, they'll have to explain what is slowing down U.S. subscriber growth. Jason, they boosted prices back in May. That clearly is the reason something they say has affected them, they'll have to give more color on whether or not they feel those subscriber numbers in the U.S. can continue to grow with all these rivals coming quickly.
All right, we're going to leave it there. John Ehrlichman, anchor for BNN Bloomberg's The Open, correspondent for CTV National News, our guy when it comes to all things happening in the tech world. Just taking a quick look at what's going on with Netflix. That stock holding its gains so far in the after hours. It was up as much as 11%, taking the stock over $300. It's now trading about 7.5% up, so up about $21. So interesting enthusiasm for that name, again, amid all of the coming competition that John so eloquently described. Well, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA, China, what a controversy that is. But first, let's get to Bob Moon. He's got some world and national headlines. Hey, Bob.
Jason, after 31 days, there's finally an end in sight to the strike against General Motors by the United Auto Workers. The two sides reached a tentative contract deal today that the union says offers major gains for workers. It won't bring an immediate end to the strike by 49,000 hourly workers, who likely will stay on the picket lines for at least 2 more days as 2 union committees vote on the deal. After that, members will have to approve it. There's widespread and growing condemnation of President Trump's moves in the Middle East. Today, Republican Senator Mitt Romney complained the administration should have negotiated with Turkey before the pullout of U.S. forces, which cleared the way for Turkey to attack America's Kurdish allies.
Turkey let us know what they were going to do. This was not a surprise. Everybody told the administration what would happen if we pulled our troops up precipitously.
Indeed, President Trump said today Turkey's incursion into Syria didn't surprise him because President Erdogan has wanted to do that for a long time. Bloomberg's Irv Chapman reports from the White House.
The president denied that he gave the okay for a military incursion in his phone call with Erdogan.
I didn't give him a green light. I wrote a letter right after that conversation, a very powerful letter. It was never given a green light. They've been wanting to do that for years. They've been fighting for 1,000 years. Let them fight their own wars. And I won an election based on that. And that's the way it is. That's what the country wants.
As to the sharp criticism from Senator Lindsey Graham, the president urged Graham to turn his full attention to investigating the origins of the Mueller investigation and the roles of the FBI and the Obama administration. At the White House, Irv Chapman, Bloomberg Radio.
Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Bob Moon.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy Buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A95G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy Buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local EE shop or ee.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days. T&C supply.
Deep left center field. A grand slam!
October baseball is here, and TuneIn Premium is your ticket to the 2019 MLB postseason. Featuring the home and away feeds for every game, TuneIn Premium delivers every call of the ALCS, NLCS, and the 2019 World Series through the voices of the local radio broadcast teams.
In the air, left field and deep. He's at the wall.
Now until a new champion is crowned, hear every play of the 2019 MLB postseason live on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
It's Liz Hernandez with your TuneIn Music News Update. Tragic news for Kane Brown's musical family. His drummer, Kenny Dixon, died in a car accident on Saturday. Kane posted a heartfelt tribute on Instagram saying, "Love you so much, dude, and you'll never be replaced. I promise you that." Meanwhile, Zach Brown is suing Ryan Tedder over a song they worked on together. It's called Nowhere Left to Go. He gave the beat to Diplo to use on a different song. To hear more music from Zach Brown and Kane Brown, search Country Roads on TuneIn.
In the dictionary, a podcast is this: a digital audio file made available on the internet, typically as a series, of which new installments can be received by subscribers automatically. But on TuneIn, a podcast is this.
I'm Rachel Martin with David Green, and this is Up First from NPR News.
And it's defined like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
From news, sports, to pop culture, comedy, and beyond. Define your own podcast possibilities on TuneIn.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca with your daily sports update. NHL action, and it's continuing here. The Carolina Hurricanes already have shown they can win in plenty of ways during the best start to the season in franchise history. But the high-scoring Los Angeles Kings unexpectedly engaged them in a defensive grind. The Kings show they concede there as well. Patrick Moraz made 31 saves in his 19th career shutout, and the Hurricanes extended their torrid start with a 2-0 victory Tuesday night. Search NHL and favorite your team. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
Hey, NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you have unlimited access to every team and every game in the league. Listen live as it happens or on demand. Anytime, anywhere. All season long. Search NFL today.
In case you didn't know, TuneIn lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio, except you can hear them from anywhere. If you want to find a station from somewhere else in the world, navigate to the By Location section under Browse. Keep exploring with TuneIn.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations. You'll also get live commercial-free news, plus live play-by-play games from NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
TuneIn puts you on the sideline for the 2019 college football season free all year long. With college football on TuneIn, hear the home and away call for more than 140 schools live, regular season matchups and rivalry games, conference championships and bowl games, the college football playoff.
Throw it. He's got it in the stiff arm. End zone. Touchdown.
You can listen to it all for free at home, on campus, or on the road. Hear the excitement and pageantry of college football all season long, free on TuneIn.
Get social with TuneIn. Follow TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest and greatest audio happenings across the app. Explore exclusive content.
It's called Indie.
Learn about the hottest new podcasts.
The Nostalgia Mixtape, a new podcast hosted by yours truly, Savannah Shroud.
And get alerted when the big game's about to begin.
This Sunday is Championship Sunday, when we'll find out which two teams are going to play for the Lombardi Trophy.
Add TuneIn to your feed and be in the know when it matters most.
Headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet, developing stories. Sources tell Bloomberg regulators approve T-Mobile's proposed purchase of Sprint Corp, advancing a deal that still needs to prevail in a lawsuit from states that contend the combination of nationwide wireless carriers will harm consumers. Lots of earnings after the bell. Among the reports out, IBM, it reported third quarter revenue that missed Wall Street estimates, with the long-awaited revenue infusion from Red Hat failing to drive overall growth. Shares down by more than 2%. Netflix shares jumping in late trading after overseas